So, Nia DaCosta, the director of the Marvels, we all know who she is and what she has done with this movie and who she's pointing the finger at. She has been constantly and endlessly blaming toxic males, specifically the toxic male demographic, quote-unquote, as the reason as to why the Marvels failed at the box office, when in reality, we all know the truth. It's because they catered this movie to women specifically. Bob Iger can really deny that all he wants, but Brie Larson confirmed this, Nia DaCosta confirmed this, and yes, even Kevin Feige, that this movie was centered toward pleasing the female demographic over the male demographic. And what's interesting about Nia DaCosta is the fact that she will never own up to her own mistakes, she will never apologize for anything that she did say before, and that's just that. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, we know that Disney has been heading into endless damage control that reeks of desperation right now. We know that Bob Iger is really trying to keep his image alive and well to the shareholders and the general public alike. And, well, it's not working anymore. A lot of shareholders are giving up on Disney, month by month. Of course, the top shareholders are never going to let go. Those like State Street, Vanguard, and BlackRock responsible for funding all this DEI nonsense into the Marvel Universe, Star Wars, and just Disney movies in general. Now, what's interesting about this is exactly what Disney decided to do to Nia DaCosta, and specifically how this is coming in the form of damage control under Marvel Studios and Disney, specifically from Bob Iger and the heads over there. So let's get into all of this. Now, with the Marvels actively going through many issues at the box office due to several factors, one major development has to do with the Marvels director Nia DaCosta, who was recently fired from multiple projects by Disney for the MCU. Now, Nia recently shared the following about her status at Disney. Working on this film has been an absolute gem, and to have worked with since, of course, Brie Larson, I have always been a fan of her. As a director, it can be tough in this business, as some deals never work out, and others do. Both Marvel and Disney felt my time was best to leave it here with the Marvels. I was involved in other conversations for future projects, but I am not willing to go into details at this time. However, this film industry can be very unfair and cruel to your lineup of work when things don't go as planned, and when you don't obtain the fan reception that the studio was hoping for. I just feel it's time for the studios like Disney to wake up a little to realize that whether you are a director, producer, or writer, the choices you make to keep them, hired or not, should be based on merit, not loud biased opinions from a minority. This is why I don't give in to the hate. I choose the side of the light, and the toxic fans can be tough to deal with, and it's just not limited to the Marvel Universe, but other franchises too that fall under Disney. Now, separate from what Nia DaCosta unveiled here, Disney did make a decision to fire the director behind the scenes entirely from their future Marvel lineup, which consisted of movies and TV shows that she was getting directing gigs for. As a result of the box office disaster and the drama that happened behind the scenes for the Marvels, Nia DaCosta was locked in and, of course, for a reported 10-project deal that went sour. This consisted of a combination of movies and TV shows for Disney Plus and theatrical releases. Part of the drama surrounding the firing of Nia DaCosta was that this was handed down as a demand from the Disney higher-ups to Kevin Feige of Marvel Studios, and that Kevin was fighting for her to actually stay. So let me just say one thing quick about this, guys, before I move on. It's not a surprise that Kevin Feige wanted Nia DaCosta to stay. We all know that she was basically a DEI hire by Disney. They wanted her just because they supported the whole DEI agenda and strategy by Disney, which, by the way, it's hypocritical and flawed, and it never works because it's not genuine. It's all about picking and choosing who's going to be in these movies, except for that or that group, or those types of people. That's basically how Disney thinks. That's why their strategy, it doesn't really mean anything. So when you see Bob Iger talking about how they support diversity, equity, inclusion, and apart from that, how they also want to embrace equality in some different areas, everything is so flawed. Snow White is a great example. They absolutely refused to hire actual dwarfs, and instead, later on, threw in CGI dwarfs to not use those with dwarfism in their Snow White film. So that just alone shows you how contradictory their DEI strategy really is with all of their projects lined up. Now, what's interesting about Nia DaCosta is that she really labels the film industry as cruel and unfair, and look, that's how the film industry is, you know, it's not going to be sunshines and rainbows for everybody. I mean, it really is something that is very challenging for a lot of workers out there. And the fact that she is blaming the toxic male demographic yet again, and how she feels that a director should 100% be hired based on their merit alone, instead of what the fans think of that directing style and stuff like that. That's another point that she was throwing out there against Disney. So Disney just wants nothing to do with Nia DaCosta anymore. This is a part of their damage control. This is a part of their way of attempting to fix the Marvel Cinematic Universe and really changing that lineup of who's going to be directing specific episodes of upcoming Marvel shows and or Marvel movies. So she had this 10-project deal that went into the fire and is no longer a deal at all. So what's interesting about this further is that he reportedly did everything he could, as in Kevin Feige, to convince Disney to keep her locked in for that 10-movie deal, or 10-project deal, I should say. But part of Disney's desperate damage control was by parting ways from Nia DaCosta and her directing style and writing style of multiple projects that reportedly turned it into an aimless subpar film, not just limited to the writers. Nia also had a major hand in the story and screenplay, and Disney was no longer confident in that style at all, moving onwards. Now, Nia DaCosta right now is reportedly frustrated about her firing and blaming it based on false criticism from Marvel fans. Disney has also banished her from visiting any Marvel sets for future movies and TV shows, as some of her colleagues are those that were working on said projects that gave her clearance to visit the sets in the future that are now restricted. So Disney does not want her involved in that area as well. It's kind of similar to what they did with other actresses in the past, where they were given clearance to visit some sets that were in the works for specific movies. That's no longer happening for Nia DaCosta. So again, Nia's time is done at Disney. They want nothing to do with her anymore. They're putting her to the wayside because of how big of an impact, negatively speaking of course, this really had on Disney's reputation. If you even want to say that Disney had a good reputation, right? They really have been doing a very bad job throughout all of 2023 and even definitely parts of 2022. This is where all the box office flop, era began, I would say, right around that time frame, early 2022, right around till now, is really like the peak moment where Disney has been failing pretty much consistently at this point in the theaters. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with their upcoming movie Wish and other projects throughout 2024 and 25. So anyway, guys, drop a comment below, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.